Ladies and gents, it is Monday, the 1st of November 2021. It is the prodigious, the prominent Professor Johnson at Proclamation News and Gatherence coming back with a brand new edition. Tell me something that, you hear a lot of radio presenters, they've got a bit of something about them, there might be, for me, for instance, I was born in postmodernism in 1983. Margaret Thatcher was our Prime Minister, but the Great Maze escape. 37 prisoners escaped. The biggest prison escape in England, from Wales, Cardiff. It's quite ironic. One got in the police station with a handgun. Two got inside the police station, inside the prison with 2 handguns and 1 with a blade. One left one of the screws in a pool of blood on the floor and it dug a hole out in the corner of the cell and escaped. Well, today is about my Christianity in the authoritarian ways. Before we move on, I just wanted to give you a bit about myself, the generation I was born up in, and as we're going to move forward on today's modern society, we'd like to talk about my Christianity authoritarian ways. How does the law evolve? How does the law evolve? How do we get this? You become preserved, observed, you become part of the aristocracy socially. You want to become well spoken, more mannerism. You want that divine elevation. You want to be, any job scenario, the way you treat people and the way, the way you want to be treated. It's the way you speak. Anyway, law, day 11. Exodus 22. Verse 2 to 3. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. This is the third time I read this. It's very significant. I'm reading it. It's a guidance, a law, but listen to the words in the book. Thanks to his great Egyptian education, Moses is ideally equipped to understand his primary commandments, written down before him by the finger of God. God didn't give us the law to restrict our lives, but so that they may be lived to the full. The whole point of law was to protect us until we could be made right with God through faith. Looking at the 10 Commandments, we have the essence of the legal systems for many countries in the world. Even a quick glance reveals that societies would be much improved if everyone adhered to them. Too often we think that of the commandments are a list of thou shalt nots, but are so much more than that. God is a positive God, not a negative one. Just imagine games without rules, competitive sport without codes, driving and travel without laws, etc. The results would be a total chaos and hazardous to our actual health and welfare. Having said that, simply devising laws and trying to enforce obedience to them doesn't work neither. Just ask the police officer. Change of heart is required and subsequently a change of direction. When you consider the law of Moses, remember it is there to point you to Jesus, not to condemn you and make you feel inadequate. The law should make you realize you need Jesus and then turn to him. When I always say that, we need law guidance. I always talk about the blueprint of Parliament. How was law evolved around the humanities? Imagine it without no law, without no guideline, no speed limits, no, anti-social behaviour. You can just have parties wherever you want, do what you want, act how you want. Imagine it. I just want to say thank you how we can all actually come through today. How do you live your day by day? I would say I live mine by law, but that's ludicrous, isn't it? I'm here every day. Is he living by law? I think so. Is he drinking? Is he taking narcotics? I think not. It's some simple mathematical questions you could ask me and you get silly answers because I'm here every day. Do you need to answer that or ask that? We can look at the blueprint of Parliament. That there, it says itself. But the law starts within the Bible, in a church. In the realms of church, people giving out commandments. You stick by them. You get commandments off your parents, don't you? Make sure you're in by 11 o'clock when you're a child. Some of you lot will probably break it. That's breaching an ASBO, isn't it? Not taking the law, not taking the righteousness. Going above and beyond to be different. Why do you need to be different? Been given a dictatorship from your parent, from your aunt, your uncle, your brother, your sister. They're older than you. You've got no respect for your elders. So where does that make you in society as humanity? Inhumane, that's what it makes you. Anyway, I'll talk about the blueprint of Parliament. This is significant. I brought this up. This is part of my historical assignment that I did about 2 years ago. Augustus Pugin. I mean, Westminster is the biggest judiciary in the UK. Sets out laws, all kinds of laws. Laws that could, significantly affect your livelihood in years to come. Your children, children. It's also kept us all in line. Putting police laws, making big on better infrastructure. That's where the money is all directed, isn't it? Money's directed through Parliament, a lot of it, and cultivated through Parliament. Say you want a capital gain, you want a tube station or a new bus network, or it all is dictated through Parliament. All these you need planning permission through new towns, new cities, new housing, all new infrastructure. It's got to be planned and pushed through Parliament or local council, where then it's pushed through Parliament to see if you can get the go ahead. But anyway, Pugin. Augustus Pugin is not mentioned in the modern day society blueprint of Parliament. But let me tell you, he was an English architect, designer, artist, and critic who is principally remembered for his pioneering role in the Gothic revival style of architecture. His work culminated in designing the interior of the Palace of Westminster in London. England, an iconic clock tower, later renamed the Elizabeth Tower, which houses the bell known as Big Ben. Pugin designed many churches in England and some in Ireland and Australia. He was the son of Augustus Pugin and the father of Edward Welby Pugin and Peter Paul Pugin, who continued his architectural firm as Pugin and Pugin. Also created Alton Castle in Alton, Staffordshire. I'm not going to go on for his whole life, but Pugin, if you look at when I was studying, I think he done the Castel Coche, some of the inside in Castel Coche. It's really, really, it's ethical. His work is phenomenal. He's heroic, isn't he, in his design? His Catholic Gothic style. It's very, very phenomenal. It's Gothic revival style, so to say. It is phenomenal. As we know, Parliament today has probably been regenerated over time. 19th century. One of the most recognised buildings in the world, the Palace of Westminster, owns its stunning Gothic architecture, 19th century architect Sir Charles Barry. Now grade I listed and part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site, the palace contains a fascinating mixture of both ancient and modern buildings and houses. An iconic collection of furnishings, archives, and work of art. Find out more history and features of this magnificent building. You can check on the UK Parliament website and some of the architecture pictures if you'd like to look. But as I say, most of this is top of knowledge through my study. I've done the assignment of Pugin himself, looking at his work closely to detail, how he the way he dressed them windows in such a Gothical, phenomenal style. Let me just say thank you to each and every single one of you that are in this building right now. We've got 19 listeners. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, I want to build up my following. I will need to, I'm on here quite religiously, sometimes 2-3 hours a day. I've done an hour this morning. I'm back again. I don't know how long we're going to be on now, but we're going to talk about, law or principle. We're going to talk about the road incidents today. and a few local news as well. I want to get more engaging with the audience. So Christian Denard, thank you. Dorothy, Isa, Stephanie, Wolf, Aaron, Patricia, Leanne, Jason, Justin, Marie, Kristen, James, John, Krista, Sally, Charlotte, Stephanie, Byron. I just want to say thank you ever so much for coming through. Thank you ever so much. Really appreciate you guys supporting me at Proclamation News and Gatherence. I just want to say a little prayer for you guys in heart, in mind, in spirit, in soul. I am overwhelmed to be sharing this moment with you guys. Really am. And hopefully you live your day. It's pretty similar to mine. To be prosperous when prosperity matters. Absolutely. Always working at progression. I don't know if you guys, you go to church or you think about going to church. Do you know what I always say to myself? Do more for God today than I did yesterday. Tomorrow, I'll do more for God tomorrow than I did today. And love thyself like you'd love your neighbour as well. That's one of the commandments, one of the main commandments in the Bible. Treat others how you like to be treated. Absolutely. Manners don't cost a thing. One thing you'll find me, I'm not very well spoken on the phone because I get I get radiation and it hurts my head. And I can get a bit obviously a bit upbeat tone. I get a bit aggressive, but I'm a very, very well mannered person in person. Very well mannered person in person. But obviously some of us have got different, cognitive problems with radiation. It's a head injury. A12, entry ramp partially blocked. I'm going straight into comments today, saying what I was saying. We're going to look at the road incidents. But first of all, think safety. Check your engine or water coolant tank, make sure it's topped up to maximum level. Check your wind mirror, centre mirror before acting in sufficient direction of choice. Make sure you've got tax, MOT, insured, and driving licence. Check further police instructions. Check for road works. Making sure road workers are not going to emerge onto the road from behind the house fencing. Or if they're putting out traffic lights, even sometimes, they go out with their beacon to show they're entering the motorway, but just, be practical, slow down for them, let them get their lights out, and just emerge on a hard shoulder if you have to get around them. Anyway, just be vigilant. A12, entry ramp partially blocked and slow traffic due to accident A12 northbound at junction 20B B1137 Street, Hatfield, Pebble North, just past Whittam. It was reported at only 30 minutes ago, 4:23 p.m. Chelmsford, we have an incident. A1114 Essex, Yang Marie Way into town at A1060 Parkway, Army Navy at 4 p.m. today. Braintree, A120 eastbound from A13 Knockley roundabout to B1018 Galleys Corner at 4:15 p.m. first reported. One in Housestead, road closed on the A131. Queuing traffic and delays due to accident. Car and pedestrian involved in A13 Trinity Street both ways at Kings Road. Road has been closed to allow air ambulance to land, affecting traffic through Housestead. This is southeast of England around the Essex area. Now going to Barking. A13 queuing traffic on congestion. A13 Ripple Road eastbound from A112. Prince Regent Lane at A1153 Lodge Avenue Junction, congestion to before Barking flyover at 3:54 p.m. first reported. Ladies and gents, I'm just going to have a short and a break. How long have we been on this show for so far? I have a short and a break. I'm not going far. We've got 4 more segments to get through, so don't leave your seat. Enjoy the show and please subscribe. Thank you ever so much for joining us here today at Proclamation News and Gatherence. But also, you can find us on Spotify, you can find us on YouTube, you can find us on Google Cast. I think there's one called Radio Cast as well. We're here, there, and we're everywhere. Proclamation News and Gatherence. We're on Anchor as well.
How we use our money today can change the world of tomorrow.
Zombie region in the south of Madagascar, the worst drought they're seeing here in about 40 years. This is meant to be the rainy season. The dry season doesn't start for another 3 more months. There's very little infrastructure, with mostly unpaved roads and many communities extremely remote. So what aid there is difficult to deliver. The extreme weather includes multiple yearly cyclones and dust storms, making subsistence farming even tougher, and people are becoming more and more desperate. These young herdsmen didn't want to be interviewed. But picking up rocks and waving their farming tools, they demand money to let us through, and then sit down in front of our vehicles and refuse to budge until we do. Our Malagasy colleagues begin negotiations as the herdsmen tell them they're hungry and they need money for food. Our drivers reluctantly hand over cash. When we reach Marofu, the village elder in orange is appalled at the attempted hold-up. Raids on the meagre crops are on the rise here. He's anxious to show us how malnourished the children are, and many are showing signs of acute malnutrition. This is what they've been reduced to eating: cactus flowers, which are devoured very quickly. They offer some relief from hunger pangs, but they will bloat their bellies and cause cramps later. Many have blistered lips and the wizened skin of those 3 times their age. Of course, these are not enough for us, but we've no choice, Hariba tells us. No one has electricity here. Only 15% of the country does, so many live in medieval conditions. Rohoniswa has 2 wives and 2 large families with a total of 16 children to feed. I can't ever fill these bowls with enough food for them, he says, and we're always hungry, but I watered the rice down to make it go further. He shows us his second home a few yards away. He's trying to make stuffing for mattresses, but he's not sold anything, so they'll eat cactus flowers again, he says. The village elder insists on escorting us out. His instincts are correct. The herdsmen have been waiting for us to leave on the single track out.
Look at inequality for the world.
As they protest, they need help. Everyone is hungry. Madagascar has contributed virtually nothing to the world's annual carbon emissions, but is probably the worst affected country, and its people are crying out for change. Alex Crawford, Sky News, Madagascar.
Wow.
Well, that is the story there in Madagascar. Now, what about here? Well, yesterday we flew over the Great Rainforest to see how the behaviour of men is directly impacting climate change here. We've also witnessed how industry and unregulated housing settlements are eating into the rainforest. Not only is it causing many more trees to be lost, but the levels of pollution here are slowly killing the dozens of small rivers crossing the city of Manaus. This is what we found.
This is a tributary that feeds the grand rivers that sustain the Amazon forest. Just look at these pictures and think about that. Because they are not only destroying trees here, they're poisoning rivers too. For Joe Farah, a local campaigning to save the waterways of Manaus, it is heartbreaking. It's just terrible. I was born here. I used to swim in this river, he told me.
It's not only what you see here that's so depressing, it's what you smell. It's industrial waste, chemicals, and human sewage flowing through here. This is what man is doing to one of the greatest and most important rainforests in the world.
Much of the pollution is from uncontrolled housing settlements. This entire area was rainforest just 20 years ago. Most of the 148 small rivers that cross the city are little more than channels of human waste. They are dying. On their banks, I found the desperately poor trying to exist amid hopelessness and disease. Understandably, for people like mother and daughter, Rosa and Geisa, it is daily survival they care about, not the fate of the rainforest or fears of climate change. All I know is every day here is worse because the government won't help us, says Rosa. Marcus Castro, a professor of urban geography here.
Pause that there then, gents. Wow. Inequalities throughout the world. These are sort of place I've been, similar sort of place I've been looking at. Vietnam, Ethiopia. I'm studying the inequalities throughout the world myself, but you know, so many more. Madagascar, East Brazil, some really, really poor countries where they're just living in sheds outside. They've got no electricity in these huts. They've obviously got daylight. That's the only way of, well, some form of normality, sunlight, I suppose. They really are living in the ancient worlds in the United Kingdom. It's shameful to see, isn't it? Really sad to see. And some of us think we're lucky to be living with such electricity, you know, such computers, you know, electric, washing machine, cookers. We don't realise how thankful we should be. The Queen spotted driving near Windsor Estate. The Queen has been pictured driving near Windsor Castle 3 days after being advised by her doctors to rest and only carry out light duties. The monarch, 95, was photographed in a headscarf and sunglasses behind the wheel of a green Jaguar estate car. She is known to drive to take her corgi dogs out for walks in the area. It comes just over a week after the Queen spent the night in hospital for preliminary medical checks. I'll tell you what, the Queen here does look like she's in EastEnders. She's all glammy, all dolled up in her car, bless her. Buckingham Palace said on Friday the Queen would be not undertaking official visits over the next 2 weeks. The palace said doctors told her she could continue to undertake light desk-based duties during this time, including some virtual audiences. Officials added that the Queen would not be at the annual festival remembrance at the Royal Albert Hall on the 13th of November, but it was her firm intention to attend Remembrance Sunday service at the Centre Park in London the following day. It was announced last week that the Queen would not be attending the COP27 Climate Change Summit in Glasgow. Pre-recorded video addressed from the Queen to world leaders and other delegates is due to be shown this evening. The Queen maintained a busy schedule in October and was seen using a walking stick at Westminster Abbey service, the first time she has done so at a major event. She hosted a global investment summit at Windsor Castle on 19th November. The next day, a spokesman said the planned trip to Northern Ireland had been cancelled and the monarch had reluctantly accepted medical advice to rest for the next few days. In a later statement, Buckingham Palace said she had spent the night at King Edward's VIII Hospital in central London. She returned the following day at Windsor Castle, where she was said to be in good spirits. The Queen resumed public engagement last Tuesday, 23rd of October, by holding virtual audiences with ambassadors via video link from Windsor Castle. Speaking on Saturday, Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who has a weekly audience with the Queen, confirmed he had spoken to her and she was on very good form. He said she's just got to follow the advice of her doctors and get some rest, and I think it's an important thing. The whole country wishes her well. Absolutely. I always salute the royal family. As you know, my cousin Jonathan, my granddad, they're all Queen Grenadier Guards, and we all have expectations to live up and respect the Queen on a Christmas Day and listen to her speech. So get well soon, Queen Elizabeth II, and our honours are with her family and thoughts of her family as well. COVID restrictions. Should Plan B measures be rolled out this winter? Have your say. We want to know what COVID restrictions you think are required this winter. Depends how significant the R number is. We can compare and contrast the R number from now to what it was last year. We always hear it's rising in cases, so if the protocol is to go back to Plan B, why not? Rising cases have sparked calls for stricter restrictions to be introduced across England, with winter Plan B measure waiting in the pipeline. Plan A, which is currently in place, involves offering healthy 12 to 15-year-olds a single vaccine dose, encouraging those who are unvaccinated to get a jab, and reminding people to wash their hands and to tend to wear face coverings in crowded places. However, government's chief scientific advisor has said Boris Johnson must be ready to move fast with Plan B COVID-19 measures, as he warned that UK is still in a very uncertain phase of the pandemic. I'd still advise people, especially being in that situation as a Prime Minister or a politician, I'd be advising people to not do non-essential trips shopping. I mean, do you need to go shopping to get Christmas present? Can't do it online? Is it a big deal? Be safe, not sorry. Order your presents online. Makes things easier. I've ordered a lot more presents online already. Got to get a few more. I'm not in a financial situation to get the presents I want. I'm just getting cheap things that I can afford, unfortunately. Sir Patrick Vallance told BBC Radio 4's Today programme that there is currently considerable uncertainty as to which direction COVID-19 rates are heading. Sir Patrick said the country needed to be prepared for the government's Plan B contingency measures, which could include a return to mandatory mask wearing in some settings and home working where possible, as well as introduction of COVID-19 vaccine passports for venues such as nightclubs. According to the government's website, Plan B would only be used if it was needed to protect the NHS. What about using it to make us safe as well? Offering COVID booster jab, about 30 million people, offering 12 to 15-year-olds a single vaccine dose, encouraging unvaccinated people to get jabs. NHS test and trace continues, and PCR and lateral flow tests remain free. Encouraging free flu jab take-up, reminding people to let in fresh air and when meeting indoors, to wash their hands and to wear face coverings in crowded places. People who have been working from home should return to workplace gradually. 1 metre plus social distancing guidelines in places at hospitals and passport control. Some shops and transport operators still require masks. Plan B includes Plan A plus, communicating clearly and urgently to the public that the level of risk has increased and the need to behave more cautiously. Introducing mandatory COVID passports, making face coverings compulsory again. Advising people to work from home. There has been pressure in recent weeks with the public health leaders on the government to take action to stop the rising coronavirus infections across the country. Those calling on the government to bring its Plan B measures have included the Labour Party, while the NHS Confederation and British Medical Association have also called for some restrictions to be reintroduced. Out restrictions, our readers in Essex think about our place this winter. Are you happy with the current coronavirus restrictions, or do you think they should be tightened over the colder months? If it's a means of stopping people get affected, I'm all for it. Why do you want more casualties? Why do you want more deaths? It's just a no-brainer, really. I mean, do you really have to ask us that, or is that just something that's just sitting there glaring at you in the eyes? Like I say, I'm not a criticiser, but it is there. It's in black and white. The R number's picking up. Take safety precautions. If you have to do queues again in shopping centres, why aren't we doing it? Simple as that, isn't it? Simple maths, simple science. Let's do it. Essex crime, Harlow, man drilled 5 centimetre into neighbour's skull after DIY argument. The attacker was found standing over the victim with the drill still in his head. The man drilled 5 centimetres in the neighbour's skull in a violent attack after he complained about his late night DIY. Essex police were called at home in Church End, Harrow, around 1 PM on August 3rd last year, with reports a man has been attacked with an electric drill. When officers arrived, they found 45-year-old Eddie Ahunchy with a drill still in his hand. Arch Hunchy had attacked the victim after they confronted him over his late night drilling the previous night that kept residents awake. Witnesses described seeing the argument before they saw the victim lying on the floor with Akanchi standing over him with the drill. The victim, a man in his 30s, sustained serious injuries to his head and face, with the drill having gone 5 centimetres into his brain. Wow. He had a bleeding brain and now had significant weakness and physical impairment on his right upper and lower limbs, as well as double vision in his left eye and brain damage, resulting in memory and cognitive skills. Akanchi claimed he was acting in self-defence and hadn't meant to hurt anyone, but he was arrested and charged with GBH with intent and the charge of GBH without intent in the court. Following the trial at Chelmsford Crown Court, he is found guilty of GBH without intent and not guilty of GBH with intent. That's crazy. At the same court on Friday, October 22nd, he was jailed for 4 years and 6 months. This is like attempted murder. Using a drill, putting it in someone's head. He's shown very little remorse. Investigating officer Detective Constable Alana McCreef from Harlow CID said, Eddie Achanchi is a volatile man whose actions have had massive impact on his victim. He has shown little remorse for his action and tried to persuade officers he is acting in self-defence. He put a drill in someone's head. You're putting a drill in someone's head. You're looking at taking someone's life. Behind that cranium is a brain. As we just read, it's gone 5 centimetres into his brain. What on earth is he not done for attempted murder? My goodness. Fortunately, we and the jury were able to see through this, and he will now spend the foreseeable future in prison. 5 years, 4 years. That's ludicrous. You've got to get 2 on good behaviour. I want to praise the courage of the victim and support from his family. He will have to live with the consequences of Achanchi's action for the rest of his life and show incredible bravery throughout the investigation and court process. But we're going to give him a slap on the wrist and he's going to get away with it. We let him back out in a couple of years. Well done. You can't even have, these sort of situations, you can't moan at the police because it's not the police's fault. It's the legislation, the lack of tolerance. The lack of tolerance in the legislation. They've got no tolerance. You go, slap him on the wrist, you get away with that, it's all right. It's not attempted murder. But shooting him in the head is attempted murder. But drilling him in the head isn't. Okay, that makes sense. It's a dangerous firearm, isn't it? A drill. You're drilling in someone's head. It's like running someone over. It's like, we were reading that the other day. A woman ran over her husband a few months back on purpose. Run him over. And she got something like done for dangerous driving. Running someone over like a ton vehicle purposely to damage him. That's attempted murder as well. No, it's not. It's dangerous driving. Lose your licence. A few hours community service, and you're good to go. You can do it again. Essex Traffic and Travel. A1089 Tilbury completely closed in both directions after lorry crashes and overturns. Some bus services have been affected. Main road has been closed due to lorry crashed by a roundabout. I mean, her boyfriend or whoever she ran over the other day was reading about a month ago. He's in critical condition. It's not like she just ran over his leg. She broke his hip. Critical condition. That's attempted murder. What was his head? Oh yeah, it's all right. It's right on his head. Can't breathe no more. It's all right. Take the license away. Slapping people on the wrist. They need to slap them harder. A1089 St Andrews Road has been shut in both directions, where a lorry is now lying on its side near Asda roundabout. The road is shut between the Dock Road to Port of Tilbury as emergency services work to recover the vehicle. A signed bus tweeted that Route 99 will not be serving the Tilbury area affected due to the crash and will only run between Tilbury Station Dockside and Tilbury Civic Square until further notice. Traffic appears to be coping well, but it's causing some delays for drivers in the area. It is known how long the recovery work may take. Wow. Wow. There you go. It's always something wonderful or horrific to listen to in Essex News. I'm overwhelmed with you guys coming in. I hope you got the gist of the start of the show. It's all about the raw